Hey, so Ingrid, what's your connection
Yes, great.
with Fitzroy?
Well, I've been living here for about 2 or 3 years, not really long. Lived in North Fitzroy for a long time.
Yeah.
But I suppose I've had a connection with Summer just because I grew up in North Carlton, which is very close.
Yeah.
So I can remember when my mum used to take us to the supermarket here in Brunswick
Yeah.
when the street was cobbled, very bumpy in the car. So.
Yeah. And how is Fitzroy different to where you grew up in North Carlton?
Uh, I suppose it was just a bit more run down. I think my parents are sort of probably the first wave of and other people like them gentrification of that sort of inner city, and Fitzroy hadn't quite had that same sort of influx of young couples, starting families. Sort of I suppose what's going to happen to Brunswick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
In that way.
it was a lot rougher.
Yeah. It was much more run down. It didn't quite have that sort of young family feel, I suppose. Yeah.
Do you think there's a young family thing in Fitzroy?
No, I don't. No, I think could quite possibly say there's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of things in Fitzroy do you identify with, or do you go out here or eat here, or?
Yeah, I suppose I go to the pubs because they're close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes to the restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah.
The old cafe society.
So on Brunswick Street, or?
Oh, wherever. I
Yeah.
mean, I suppose because I live near the Union, I go to the Union a bit.
Yeah.
Because, lazy.
Mm.
It's a good pub, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how have you seen Brunswick Street change, or other parts of Fitzroy change since since you've been coming here or living here?
How's it changed? I think it's got its own wave of gentrification, but it's a different sort of gentrification because it's never saying for it's not the young families.
Mm.
It's I suppose the apartment dwellers,
Yeah.
which is quite different. And you see, I mean, it's such a you get this sort of like you had the Koori community up at the top end of Gertrude Street, which is just not there anymore, and
Yeah.
and then even the drug addicts who've sort of been there and gone. It's just this sort of a weird sort of flux of people coming in and out. But of course, it's very much tied to the property market, and who can afford to live here. You could say that Fitzroy's become a brand name, really.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you like about Fitzroy? What do you think is the real positive things?
For me, the convenience of it,
Yeah.
because I work in the city, and it's just so easy to walk into the city or, catch a tram. I can be, get up really late and still be there sort of on time.
Yeah.
And in that way too, because it's such a small suburb in sort of physicality, that you can, everything's in walking distance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
So what sort of things do you not like about Fitzroy?
Uh,
Do you find it a safe place, or?
yeah, reasonably. I think, I've never felt unsafe actually. What I don't like about it, I mean, I suppose you could sort of complain about the, the apartment dwellers and stuff, but then it's just, I mean, that's sort of like complaining about the tides or something, I mean, these things happen, like it's the natural progression of a suburb. It's sort of like, fast up version of migration, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes it a little bit less interesting.
Yeah.
So, which is sort of a bit sad. That's
It-
I think the thing.
So do you think that that gentrification could make it a little bit more homogeneous or boring?
Yeah, it does because there are people who are not. It's about culture, and there are people who are not really involved in building a culture.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a sort of, going out culture perhaps for them, but it's not, it's quite different. I mean, young families are particularly good at doing that, like people with young,
Mm.
you know, and kids and families. But people who sort of, I mean, I'm, you know, in a sense, I'm like that too. But yeah, there's not those people who sort of really strengthen the community like that.
Yeah.
They don't sort of add to that sort of culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so why do you think that wave of gentrification is happening? What do you think people look for when they move here?
Oh,
Maybe?
it's branding, as I said before. It's like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Fitzroy the brand.
Yeah.
So it's suddenly become a sought after brand in that way, and yeah, and it's got sort of like it's all. I mean, for all the reasons that you know, I live here too. You
Yeah.
know,
So
easy to go out, close to things.
yeah.
You know.
And what does that brand mean?
From people who, I mean, it's an interesting question. Like from people who are actually in the real estate market.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read the ads. It's sort of this
Yeah.
sort of like, you know, the bohemian, like, God forbid, lifestyle. You know, I mean, it's almost they're selling it like that, which is quite
Yeah.
funny. Sort of like, yeah, or the cafe lifestyle, I suppose they call it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
So were there lots of cafes here when you were a kid? You used to come?
Not really, no. I mean, it's hard, like when I was an actual kid, it was sort of hard. It's more when I was a teenager or a bit sort of, I mean, the Black Cat was the big one. I mean, that was sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Rumbarellas and then Mario's.
Yeah.
They're sort of stalwarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember when the Black Cat opened, or?
No,
No?
as I said, because I didn't live in the suburbs, so my
Yeah.
connection there it was just as a visitor really, to Brunswick Street. But very, yeah, you know, as a teenager, you like to come over and shop and like have a coffee there, whatever I had, hot chocolate probably.
Yeah. God, I can't believe. So,
Yeah. Like that.
So, what do you understand about globalisation, Ingrid?
In terms of Fitzroy.
Yeah. Or how are the things that you see in Fitzroy that you could say are part of
That.
a much larger picture?
Well, I suppose you can, like off the top of your head, you say things like, you know, video, was it Blockbusters video?
Yeah.
And, you know, 7-Eleven and, yeah, all of those sort of stores moving into the area.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have got as much of a stranglehold as they probably could have.
Yeah. Do you see that as a good thing or a bad thing?
I think you can only see it as a good thing that they don't, just because those sort of stores, they suffocate communities and culture, like,
Yeah.
because you lose the culture of individual communities from it.
Yeah.
So they're sort of quite destructive like that.
Yeah.
In that way, I think that's the thing. I mean, it's probably a really good example of why small businesses are important if you look at it on a really economic scale.
Yeah.
You know, to support small businesses and little and people starting businesses.
And local economies.
And local economies.
Yeah.
Which is quite an area that I sort of look at work, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also, of course, the classic line, Nathan owning half the pubs. You know, I mean, that's quite insidious if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've basically kept the sort of veneer of the culture, but,
Yeah.
you know, taken away your choice of being able to drink what you like.
Yeah.
Or drink, you know. Although, of course, it's quite bizarre sort of preferring VB over Tui's when, you know, they're both, you know, why have a loyalty to John Elliott, for God's sake?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, globalisation, it's sort of... I think one of the things, though, about that sort of, you know, late-stage capitalism
Yeah.
is that, though, that I think it has allowed me
Yeah.
to live this very indulgent lifestyle
Yeah.
that I have.
Yeah.
like which is to be, you know, my prolonged adolescence in this suburb that is designed for people who like to have prolonged adolescence.
Yeah.
So in that way, you have to be very aware of your position in it or something. You know, it's not, no one's, you know, I don't have to really, you know, I mean, if you think of other people in the world and what their culture, you know, basically assumes that they will do, and etc. You know, sort of individualism, I suppose it is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Thanks a lot.